folks, to another edition of TradCat Night Special. Yes, the exclusive show right here on TradCat Night website. Folks, today is 9/20/2024. I hope you all are having a very wonderful and blessed day, as always. We continue to keep programming. Moving along, we got Dr. Paul Cottrell returning to the program. This is before you hand over to Paul, get caught up in his world. Just a gentle reminder, Paul, TradCat Night and the new website, third-secret.com, across all major social media outlets. Don't forget, we are on Substack. We're doing freebies on the regular over there. You can also sign up for the paid package. Now, I just found out through StreamYard, I have the capability of just doing one stream via StreamYard, and it goes out to all my platforms. At this point, minus Substack, but I just put in the request for Substack to have that capability done, so we'll see where that goes. But I will live streams now behind the paywall for you folks right here at TradCat Night. I'll let you know what the schedule will be like with that, and then outside of the paywall, we'll have a different schedule type of thing. That'll be a great way for you guys to interact with other members from around the world in real time. Having said that, 3 Days of Darkness will be still available on Vimeo. Check that on out, and get some of your special guest suggestions. We've got some great guests coming on in October. We're currently booked through the middle portion of October. If you want to join me for a podcast, reach on out to me. Appreciate any all donations so we can amp it up, folks, on the level of shows that we're doing. In years past, we were accustomed to doing 25 plus. I'm barely squeezing in 15 now a week. Everything is financially related now. So, folks, click that donate button, lend a hand. Let's get some more shows in the upcoming weeks. And then what else we got going on? Third Secret, by the way, the next guest on Monday is going to be Father Elias Mary. We got Dr. Cynthia McKinney going to join us on the 25th, and then Mark Morano on the 27th. And then just our sponsors. Listen, we appreciate all of our sponsors, past and present. And right off the bat, we want to make Mary Jackson and what she wants to get known out to the public. And Mary, keep doing. I know you've been going through some stuff here lately, but Mary's reminding everyone to stay close to the holy face of motion. You know how instrumental it is in regards to conquering of communism, in regards to our own interior lives. And then you got Kathleen Loney, who's reminding you all to continue to get to that advertising page so you can check out the Sacred Heart flags that she's promoting, very durable, $50 plus shipping and handling. You can contact her at KathleenLoney@gmail.com. To pick up one today, you got John Dean, who I'm going to do another spot for at JacksburyNights.com here in a little bit. So make sure you get on over there and check that on out. I'm sure we might post it either today or tomorrow. But also his other website, Jacksbury.com. Keep his prayer intentions in your prayer intentions. Then you got Samantha Wiesing, who's reminding you all to pick up 100% therapeutic grade essential oils. Go to my.doterra.com/Samantha Wiesing. And you can contact her for any other questions that you might have. Samantha.wiesing@gmail.com. We're bringing her back on in October for another health special. And then what else we got going on? We got Nick Flew, who's going to be on the show right after Paul here. And we're going to do a little Catholic Prophecy special. With Nick is reminding you all to check across Catholic Facts book available on Amazon, paperback, or Kindle format. Catholic Prophecy meets current events at 247rosary.com. Playing traditional rosary every half hour. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And sign up for the Wednesday Night Rosary Call program by contacting Joe Blaze. I got pray at 247rosary.com. Having said that, let's get caught up with Paul. Paul, thanks so much for joining us and what's going on in your world. And we've got a lot to get through, whether it's politically, geopolitically, economically. I know we didn't have this on our list, but we got that UN Summit for the Future meeting going down over the next few days too, which should keep our eyes on. Where do you want to start today?
Well, I'd just like to tell the audience, kind of as a PSA, my aunt passed away from colon cancer. So it really behooves people to do screenings for cancer, all different types of screenings. So don't be afraid to do screenings. It could actually save your life. So, so just, keep that in mind. There's many people that are afraid to do colon screenings, and it's a shame because if you catch it early, you don't have a problem. If you catch it late, you have a big problem. So just go out there and get your cancer screenings. Wherever you want to start. You want to start with COVID first, or?
Yeah,
all right. So there's some problems that are starting to arise in New York. All right, there are individuals in maybe I would say anywhere from age 30 to age 60 that are starting to get the variant KP 3.1.1. And that's the kind of the dominant variant in the United States. The problem is that there's a rebound. So they get somewhat of a minor infection, respiratory issue, seems like a cold kind of thing. And about a week later, they heal, and then it comes back 4, 5, 6 days later. And it's a little bit more severe. So there is a rebound here. Now I want to go into another variant that is starting to pop up that's a little bit worse, and it's called the XEC variant. It's in 12 states and 15 countries. This is a variant that is a recombinant where it's a mix of KS 1.1 and KP 3.3. The reason why people need to start worrying about this is that the dominant variant, the KP 3.1.1, has this rebound effect. And so that means that your immune system is weakened. Now, I have an extensive theory on why this is happening. The S1 subunit is attaching to what is called the TCR, which is the T cell receptor, preventing the TCR to actually be fully activated by the MHC2 class to tell the immune system that a cell is infected. But the S1 subunit on the spike is telling these cells, these T cells, to secrete cytokines. So there's a pro-inflammatory response. And individuals that either have contracted SARS-CoV-2 or have had a series of inoculations and boosters, they have developed what is called an IgG4 antibody. But if you keep on pulsing, right, either through inoculation or through infection, natural infection from the pathogen, you're going to start eliciting this pro-inflammatory response and reactivating the memory cells that actually create the IgG4s. Now, people would say, why is that an issue? IgG4s is a modulator for part of the immune system. So if you keep on pulsing and you have rebound infection, you literally are weakening the immune system. And this is why I keep on saying it's so important not to get sick, but not just that, not to continually get these boosters. Because what's happening is you're creating a pulsing effect that is telling the immune system to modulate down. So, it's about neutralizing pathogens, bringing down that inflammation. So I am concerned because of the rebound with the KP 3.1.1, which is the common variant in the United States right now. It's the most common at this moment in time. That this rebound that's happening from that and the weakening of the immune system will ramp up this KEC, not KEC, XEC variant, the XEC variant. And that XEC variant is going to, so we're going to have like another wave. We're going to have a wave during the cold season that is the XP 3.1.1, and then another wave mid into the cold season or near the end of the cold season in the United States, where XEC ramps up because of this pulsing weakening of the immune system.
Now, on the vaccine front, like who's still left in the game? Where we have like Moderna, Pfizer.
Well, you have Pfizer, you have Moderna, you have Novavax. There's some, in the United States, and then obviously there are other players that are overseas, like Sinovac, and there's some others. But what is, I think that probably in the United States, it's still the big players are going to be Pfizer and Moderna.
Pfizer,
right, and they're playing around with multivariant vaccines and boosters, meaning that they're covering not just one, but maybe 2, 3, 4 different versions. in one
Now,
shot. And I think that that's problematic.
I think it was around 3 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, there's a headline that broke from Missouri saying that like a contactless bird flu case. Did you see that one?
The
Against that one.
the last case of bird flu.
Yeah.
Right. I think it was in Missouri.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I've been kind of covering the whole bird flu thing, and this situation is this individual that caught it. It is the highly pathogenic H5N1. This person is not a farm worker, doesn't have family members that are from the farm. But the thing is that not only can you contract it from cattle or from fowl, like chicken farms and all that, but you can contract it from wild birds. And there are lots of wild birds that have this highly pathogenic H5N1. So I would not be surprised that this individual contracted it by just touching a surface that a bird touched.
It's a bad batch of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah, or a bad batch of the extra crispy, But I just a side note, I cook a lot of chicken, right? I don't have bird flu, but I am really trying very hard to try to replicate the KFC recipe. Well, but I'm getting close. I'm getting close. Yeah, and it has something. It's the salt, the pepper. I think there's a rosemary part to it, and lots of garlic powder. So, but trying to get the right combination is hard. But I'm getting close. Um, all right, but with that said, I would not be worried. I don't worry about the highly pathogenic avian flu H5N1. There is no evidence whatsoever of human to human transmission. None.
So now to some of it, what are they going to talk about? I mean, we know some agenda what's on there. I mean, they're probably going to try to scare the shit out of us like they usually do. But what do you think is going to? I mean, do you think it's going to be like in the mainstream media news? Or through summer, I think it'll just kind of blow over.
Well, they're going to say. I mean, any of these conferences that are going to be starting to talk about pathogens, no matter what it is, either mpox, bird flu, human flu, or SARS-CoV-2, they're going to try to scare, and then they're going to try to get people to get inoculated. So people need to really pay attention. Our immune systems are trashed. And I just explained one of many mechanisms on why that is. And the only way to deal with this is to bring down inflammation by taking certain types of supplements that can bring down inflammation, such as turmerics and the ashwagandhas. And there's many other anti-inflammatory supplements that people can take. And neutralize pathogens so you're not as sick as often. So your immune system can heal. And that over time, as long as that you are neutralizing those pathogens and you don't get sick and you maintain those mucosal barriers in your oral cavity and in your gut and in your trachea, you're mitigating the chances of contracting something and doing this pulsing issue that I mentioned earlier. So it will take approximately 5 to 10 years to tell the memory cells in your body to start dying off, right? Especially the IgG4 memory cells. All right. So if you can not get sick for 5 years, that would be really good for your immune system. And that doesn't mean you have to be a germaphobe, but I'll tell you, there are people that with proper diet, exercise, they cleanse their body, they do colon cleanses or they do kidney cleanses or liver cleanses, and they keep that inflammation down, and they take either antiviral or anti pathogenic supplements that will help to fight infection and all this stuff. And as long as you can stay healthy for 5 years, you are really doing a major benefit for your immune system, because you're not getting that pulsing effect that I'm very concerned about. And it's that pulsing effect is through the natural pathogen and especially through these series of boosters.
Speaking about pulsing, let's do a little pulse of the nation. With some of these latest polls coming out, what's your take on the election? Where are we at there? And we only got what? It's less than two months away now. Crept up on us here a little bit.
Yeah, I personally, there is perception and reality. All right. The perception in the mainstream media, they're trying to make it seem as though Harris is doing better in the polls and that she's connecting with voters. I think the reality is quite the opposite. I think that her performance with the actual voter, and especially when you parse it out to the electoral college, she's doing far worse than what they're polling. Because when they poll, they're polling popular vote. They're not polling electoral vote. All right, so that's one issue. And if they change the perception in the poll by saying that she's doing better than what she perhaps is really doing in reality, it increases the chances of some sort of nefarious activity with election fraud. Because if she was doing really bad, it'd be hard to kind of swing it with election fraud. So I am very concerned that there is a kind of a spin in the mainstream media that she's doing so much better than what she really is. She can't think on her feet. She can't take off the cuff questions from the press corps. She does poorly when she does one-on-one interviews. Unfortunately, I don't think that Trump did as well as he could have. He underperformed during the debate, while she overperformed expectation. So I think she came out of the debate probably stronger than going in. But if you look at some of the data, those dial data, during a certain question during that actual debate, how they track Republicans or Democrats or even independents, most independents tracked with Republicans, not with Democrats. So if something was negative and the Republicans were dialing down into the negative territory, so were the independents and vice versa. So I have a strong belief that the independents are actually the majority of the independents are going to vote for Trump, and that the question is, can he win Michigan and Pennsylvania? I don't know. It's going to be close. It's going to be close, but I think that I think that in the final analysis, if there's no election fraud, I think Trump wins.
Yeah. Yep, interesting to see how this plays out. Let's tie that into on the economic side, which I think is, as you mentioned, is going to be in Trump's favor. I mean, my goodness, I can't believe these Biden's worth really think that the economy is as great as it is. But Fed rate cut, what does it mean for us moving forward? How bad will inflation get?
Right. Well, like I said, in terms of the Fed making its move, I personally think that they are not moving, and I don't think that they're behind the curve. I think that they're ahead of it. They're moving too quickly. All right. I would have preferred if they stayed flat and didn't raise rates or lower rates. The reason being is that I look at the dual mandate in equal terms. Unemployment is below natural unemployment. Natural unemployment is 5% from most economic textbooks, and their 2% target for the inflation rate it has been a target for many years. We are above the inflation target. So, and that's at core or total inflation rate. So the economy is a little bit hot. Those two data points remind. So what's happening is the Federal Reserve is trying to be kind of a social engineer and have a very soft landing, so it doesn't hurt anybody's job prospects, right? And I think that this is a hat tip for the Democratic Party to try to spin it in the news saying that they have controlled inflation. The reality of the situation is that inflation rate is moving closer to the 2% target, but the absolute price is too damn high, especially for groceries and energy. So what you really need is at least 2 quarters below target to be able to have the economy grow into a higher priced situation. It would have been nice if we were at like 1.8 for 2 quarters for the inflation rate before actually lowering the Fed rate. So I think that the Fed made a mistake and they should have waited until unemployment went up above 5% and that inflation went down below 2% for 2 quarters. Now, they didn't do that. They lowered the rate. They lowered the rate more than what many people thought. They lowered it 50 basis points. Many people thought that the consensus was around 25 basis points. So it seems to me that they seem to be worried that that unemployment may go up. And even Powell mentioned that in his press conference after the rate decision. But now looking at this at a trader level, the equity market is going to be at all-time highs by the end of the year. All right, it's already trading for the S&P 500 in the range of 5,700. That's all-time high. All right, so my targets for by the end of the year it's 5,800 and potentially even 6,000, and then reevaluate after that for year end.
Some of these numbers, again, for the most part, I mean, the vast part of Biden/Harris last 4 years here, it's been pretty terrible. But I often kind of wonder because in recent times, stock markets are going up, gas prices are coming down. It's just like a little bit of a ploy with elections, throw a little breadcrumbs out to the voters, and then potentially they get in there. We go back to $6 for gas, stocks come down. You know what I mean? Like I always wonder, like the those breadcrumbs.
Exactly. No, I think that there's kind of almost a manufactured lullaby of the market to try to win potential voters for the Democratic Party. I feel that this move by the Federal Reserve was a political move, and they're supposed to be apolitical. But again, to your point, because they are moving too fast, too soon and too fast. All right. It's going to be inflationary because what's going to happen is that the equity prices are going to be bid up and it's going to create more of a bubble. All right. But equity can be in a bubble for a long time. And if Harris gets in, I think it will be inflationary. This move by the Fed will be inflationary. If I don't follow. I don't. No, I don't. I don't follow Shadow. No. No. I don't think. I don't. If his name's Shadow, or is it show?
Shadow status.
Shadow status. I don't remember seeing him. I mean, I typically, if he's not on Bloomberg, I mean, I'm not following him. I mean, so I mean, I follow, I listen to the talking heads on Bloomberg because that's more institutional investors. So yeah, I don't remember seeing him before, but I do think that Harris's policies will be inflationary, but it's not just the president. It is also what's the composition of the House and the Senate. If the Republicans can get at least one of the branches of the the legislative branch, the Senate or the House, then they can stop inflationary pressures from political policy. If the Democrats win the legislative branch and the executive branch, then we're in trouble because the Federal Reserve has set in motion cheap money, right, with much more fiscal spending. Now, what gets really scary is that if they push, capital gains tax and all this stuff, right, that she is proposing, then investors are going to get worried and want to sell. And that may be pressure to sell the equity market. But that has to, will they be able to push that through Congress? There's going to be so many lobbying groups pushing against it that that may be just kind of, rhetoric, campaign rhetoric that never will come to fruition. But I think that the overall policy from Harris is inflationary. Now, the globalists that I listen to on Bloomberg, they say that Trump is actually more inflationary than Harris, um, and that that's because he wants to put tariffs on foreign goods and try to build up the manufacturing base in the United States. So it depends on who you talk to. If they're a globalist, they're going to think that Harris's policies are better and Trump's policies are worse. And if you are a localist, then
it's my favorite time of year of start getting around election time. Not necessarily on that level of interesting commercials, but presidents going back and forth, like more local stuff, like I'm Tom, don't vote for Tom Smith because he's I'll see them in those crazy like local commercials where they really like going so fast. They get like really start punching below the belt. I don't know if you get those here. They're kind of funny out here in Ohio Valley here. I don't know if it's $1 on that, but before we got a few more headlines, I'm taking a look at the time here, probably about 12 minutes on that range. There's actually two other headlines I didn't mention before the show I'd like to get your thoughts on. House bill seeking Senate approval for the WHO pandemic treaty. This came out about a week or so ago, so they want to run it through there. What's your thoughts there? And I'm kind of like, I'm trying to think what the strategy would be from the globalists to kind of like work around, kind of get around it if they could, because at all costs they want to be running the show above and beyond our Constitution. But what do you make of this latest headline?
Right. There's been it's not just this data point, but a series of data points over the years where the WHO, especially the health branch, the WHO is a branch of the UN. So the UN is looking for more power, and the WHO is trying to get more power through controlling health of countries. And there's a larger kind of umbrella here, and that is, UN is trying to demonize human activity in the world, and blame climate change on humans and blame, developed nations on the ills of the world, demonize fossil fuels, right? So now the WHO is, and this was tied with EcoHealth Alliance, where they were saying human encroachment in natural reservoirs will lead to these zoonotic events where certain pathogens will come out, and that because of that we have to curtail this is what they're saying, we have to curtail human expansion in some of these lands. So they try to, the problem is that the UN is really demonizing human activity, right? They're demonizing the advancements of technology, and a lot of these advancements took place during the use of fossil fuels. So it's not just, it's a larger issue. I see this as that they demonize human activity, and then try to get power and try to create a taxing mechanism for the UN. And this is where the whole carbon tax kind of comes in, and maybe the UN starts issuing bonds. And if they tax nations with carbon tax, then they can have the coupon payment for these UN bonds for traders. So, so this is just another piece of this overreach by the UN. And these pathogens there's going to be zoonotic events that take place. There's always been zoonotic events that have taken place. I mean, the Black Plague is one. I mean, cholera and typhus and yellow fever, and I mean, mankind has been dealing with this ever since it started expanding in the world. But we have to push back, because I don't believe in I don't subscribe to the idea that you have a government like a UN or a branch from the UN like the WHO trying to control sovereign nations.
This other one here too, because I wanted to give you a few minutes to talk about the pager explosion. We almost forgot about that. So we'll have to divvy up maybe 3 or 4 minutes for each of these topics. I don't think we've ever talked about this in Time Fast. If we did, I don't really recall the topic of superbugs. This one just came out. Drug-resistant superbugs kill 39 million by 2050. And just go into like talk about superbugs and all that stuff. According to a Graham study, more than 1 million people died from superbugs due to AMR per year from 1990 to 2021, which is that's pretty lengthy time. There was that 30 years or whatnot, but they're prognosticating now. It's kind of like picking up, and now they're saying over the next 25 years, it's basically, if you look at the numbers, it's like 9 that amount. So I'm wondering, like, what's going on there? What constitutes a superbug? That's a little bit scary to think that the infection is not going to be done away by, with some of the antibiotics we might have. Well, talk to us for a few minutes on that.
Well, superbugs are basically bugs that are resistant to therapies like antibiotics. Most of this is coming from the antibiotic crowd, right? So what happens is there's an over reliance in the society using antibiotics, and what happens is that bacteria will eventually learn to circumvent those antibiotics, and they mutate in such a way where we are losing our capability of fighting these bugs. I mean, we have in certain types of antibiotics, there's 4th gen and 5th gen that are used sparingly, but we're using them more often now to fight these pathogens, and eventually they will learn, they will mutate, and these 4th and 5th gen antibiotics won't work anymore. So, and there's nothing after that. There's the problem is that they're super, and people are scared and worried about it, because once people don't realize medicine has advanced, right, through biotech, for sure. But the thing is that the big gains in health is because of sanitation and the ability to make and use antibiotics. The moment you are in a world where your antibiotics aren't working as well, you can't do surgeries as efficiently. Now you have secondary infections after surgery, or colds that used to be no big deal start becoming a really big deal. We're moving. We're losing the efficacy of our antibiotic reserve.
I think that's used by, let's say, some people on the science side believe that what they're doing is right, but maybe a lot of conservatives or Christians are going to would deem that to be wrong. They'll use that as an excuse to like kind of go into transhumanism. We need to like kind of evolve. You know what I mean? You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah. I met someone during a Harvard event at the Harvard Club. He runs a company that's called Colossal, and they're the company that's sequencing the woolly mammoth. All right, so I met the guy, and he works with Church. He works with George Church, Dr. George Church, Professor Church from Harvard. All right, so they're sequencing the woolly mammoth, and they are going to have an Asian. They're going to have an Asian elephant actually give birth to a woolly mammoth. They're working on this. All right, they're very, very close. Yeah. So I met this guy. He's very unkept type person. All right. So he had a presentation at the club just 2 days ago. And they said that there are viruses that are killing off elephants. All right. And they know what the sequences are that make those elephants susceptible to those viruses. So they are engineering in the woolly mammoth genome resistance to certain types of viruses. So this, we have the capability now to know what type of sequences in our body need to be changed in such a way to be able to be more resistant to certain types of pathogens. Not all pathogens, but certain types of pathogens. We don't know what that means in the long term when we make those changes. In the short term, they're going to be resistant. But does this mean that there's some sort of negative externality by messing up with the genome, with cell communication? Maybe there's more cancers. Maybe there's something else that pops up in the environment where viruses and bacteria mutate in such a way where this genomic manipulation makes it worse. We don't know. We're playing with fire. We're doing things that we really don't know, but at least at the surface level, biotech has reached a certain point where you can make modifications and then have that fetus be resistant to certain types of pathogens. And they're doing it. They're literally doing it for the woolly mammoth. I think it's called the EHV virus for these elephants that die off. And they know that the woolly mammoth didn't have resistance to it.
See some woolly mammoths walking around town, huh? But I want to go to you. Well, you send us up most time. I'm going to give you a few minutes there to talk about some of the latest over there in the Middle East major explosions. And yeah, we literally only got like 3 or 4 minutes left. I got another show to do here, but let's do that.
So for the pagers, well, Israel is starting to become a little bit more almost James Bond, right? And if anyone had watched Munich by Spielberg several years ago when it came out, it was about the Olympic athletes being assassinated in 1972, and then how covert operations by the Israelis were hunting down these terrorists. And they just blew up their homes and their cars, and they wired up their phones in their house and everything else. So it reminds me of Munich. But we're going to be moving into we're moving into a new phase where there's going to be more conflict in the northern front between Israel and Hezbollah.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah. And this is the reason why they do the pagers. They blow up the mid-level and the higher level coordinators for Hezbollah, and then they do a ground invasion where they're less coordinated. It's a perfect move. I mean, it's literally, this is definitely planned. And then I think it was last night where there was missile firings between the countries. So it's going to ramp up more. And the leader said that there was going to be some retribution, and the Jewish nation has to repent. Well, the day of judgment is coming, literally Yom Kippur on October 11th and 12th. So I wonder if he was hinting that something is going to happen during the High Holy Days, that somehow Hezbollah is going to attack. Very similar to the Yom Kippur War. Very similar to the Yom Kippur War.
All right, let's do Canvas up real time before we let you go. Yeah, cold flu season. Make sure you're stocking up. Make sure you hit up what Paul's about to talk about here.
Right. So I have a couple different products on my store. It's the-studio-reykjavik.com. And I have ubiquinol now on my store. It's the active form for CoQ10. So this is an antioxidant, but it also is a neuroprotector. This is going to be important. It's ubiquinol. Ubiquinol is the active form for CoQ10. So a lot of people know the term through CoQ10, but ubiquinol is the active form for it. So, but you should be taking this every day. It helps boost up your immune. It helps to boost up energy levels. Higher energy levels will help with your immune system. It's an antioxidant and it's a neuroprotector. And then also, I also have NAC. And NAC is really important to boost up your glutathione levels. It's an antioxidant. It also helps to detoxify your body, your liver, and your kidney. And it will also help to mitigate some of the issues with, let's say, ADHD or anxiety. So NAC is a compound that I take every day as part of as a health protocol. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com.
Back on next month. Listen, we got one more thing to do. I got media appearance there, and until next time, my good friends, stay safe and blessed. Good stuff.